So we're starting in puppy dog pose. Invitation to place a block under your heart, especially, I said this for the folks in the room a moment ago, but I forgot to press record. So Deidre, if you get pinching in the tops of your shoulders, I would elevate your heart more, whether that meant on a bolster or pillows or couch cushions or more blocks. The reading for tonight is going to be the tail end of chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita. And in this reading, we hear entirely from the teacher and mentor of our protagonist, Arjuna. So his name is Krishna. Krishna says, better than any ritual is the worship achieved through wisdom. Wisdom is the final goal of every action, Arjuna. Find a wise teacher, honor him, ask him your questions, serve him. Someone who has seen the truth will guide you on the path to wisdom. When you realize it, you will never fall back into delusion. Knowing it, you see all beings in yourself in me. Even if you were the most evil of evildoers, Arjuna, wisdom is the boat that would carry you across the sea of all sin. Just as firewood is turned to ashes in the flames of a fire, all actions are turned to ashes in wisdom's refining flames. Nothing in the world can purify as powerfully as wisdom. Practiced in yoga, you will find this wisdom within yourself. Resolute, restraining his senses, the man of faith becomes wise once he attains true wisdom. He soon attains perfect peace. Ignorant men without faith are easily mired in doubt. They can never be truly happy in this world or the world beyond. A man is not bound by action who renounces action through yoga, who concentrates on the self, and whose doubt is cut off by wisdom. Therefore, with the sword of wisdom, cut off this doubt in your heart. Follow the path of selfless action. Stand up, Arjuna. And we'll pick up next week with chapter 5, the yoga of renunciation. So for now, I'd like you to shift into your victorious breath, your Ujjayi breath. So if that's not familiar, that's okay. I'll cue you for it. Draw in a big life-affirming inhale. And then as you exhale through your nose, but as if you were fogging a mirror with your breath. So a little constriction at the base of your throat, a little bit of an audible quality like an ocean wave. And then maintain that constriction, maintain that same sound quality, that same texture as you inhale. And the goal will be, we'll maintain this breath throughout the practice. Right now, from your puppy dog pose, we're going to come out of this, but rather than muscling out of it, the kindest way to my body I found to come out of this, rock the crown of your head forward, release your hips down to the earth, and we're going into Sphinx pose. So float your shoulders over your elbows. Lengthen your legs out long. Maybe step your right leg 2 or 3 inches back behind you. Left leg steps out in line with it. Now, I would like your legs engaged by pressing the tops of your feet, the shoelace parts of your feet into the earth. And I would love for you to engage your arms by dragging the palms of your hands and your elbows as if you were trying to touch your waist. But belly and low back are soft and disengaged. And when I do this, when I really lean into this pulling sensation, I almost get the sense of a light decompression of the lumbar spine. Inhale. Exhale, release your heart down to the earth. Bella, you're going to have to move, sweetie. Tee your right arm out to the side. Bring your left hand under your left shoulder. Walk the fingers of your right hand further over to the right. And then start pressing into your left hand. Lift your left shoulder. Maybe float it over your right. Invitation, only if it serves you, put a bend in your left knee. Step your left foot behind your right knee. Right now, I used to cue this. I kind of changed the way that I practice this and I teach it. I used to cue that if you wanted more sensation, lift that left hand and do something different. But really the action that we want, if you want to add sensation here, is pressing the back of your left shoulder further over toward the right hand edge of your mat. So rather than moving that hand and maybe say taking a half bind behind the back, you can come up on the cupcake or spider fingers on that left hand, or place a block or a small stack of books under the left hand. And that allows me to really put a little bit more emphasis on pressing that left shoulder over to the right. Right now, if you have a block under that left hand, slide that out of the way, roll back onto your belly, and we're just going to change sides. So tee your left arm out to the side, right hand under your right shoulder. Walk the fingers of your left hand any amount further over towards your left, and then press into, lifting your right shoulder, floating it up over your left, maybe stepping that right foot behind your left knee. So where we're going next, the action that we're doing next is really going to require a block. So if you don't have a yoga block, that's okay. Just watch this for now. And that's an investment that I would recommend. Now, with a yoga block, you can spend as much money as you want on one. If you wanted to find a $75 yoga block, I believe you probably could. But you could also go, a couple of my favorite blocks I got in the sales section of TJ Maxx or Marshalls for $5 or $6. So it's a relatively low cost investment. Right. Roll back onto your belly. And then however you get there, use good body mechanics, but make your way onto your right side, grab a block, and come up to sort of a forearm side plank. So float your right shoulder over your right elbow, legs for now extended long. Now, in my classes, we often do a serratus anterior trigger point release. That's not what we're doing tonight. So it looks like the setup is almost identical in the very beginning of it, but place that block so it's all the way in your armpit. And the left hand comes down to the mat between your block and the left hand edge of your mat, just enough that you can scoot that right elbow forward, maybe past the top edge of your mat. Release the right hand side of your head into your right hand. And then it's just time and gravity doing the work. Now, the left hand does have a job. If you get way too much sensation in the armpit from this block, the left hand is the dial knob on the sensation. So you can press down into the mat, you can press into the block to lift up to relieve the sensation. One other option, now I feel like I get better sensation for me, that is more sensation with straight legs. But if you want to regulate it or it would feel more stable, you could also put a bend in the knees. Either way is okay. And then release. Right hand down to the mat between your block and the left hand edge of your mat. Left hand covers your right. And then release your forehead down, maybe to the back of your left hand. This is a subscapularis release. That's one of the 4 muscles associated with the rotator cuff complex. So that's why we're doing that. And this is usually practiced as a static pose. But if it would feel good to rock back and forth a little bit, firmly massaging your armpit on that block, that's also in play. That's definitely fair game. Because of the lymph nodes in the armpits, although the purpose of what we're doing right now and the practice tonight is not to boost the immune system, many teachers, including myself, do believe that having this light massage of the lymph nodes will help boost the immune system some amount. All right, lift your head up. Start to walk your hands under your shoulders. Lift up enough that you can remove the block. Lower back down onto your right side. Now take your right elbow so it's between your shoulder and that upper left-hand corner of your mat. Palm of your right hand faces the earth. Maybe release your right ear down towards your right shoulder. I'm going to leave mine lifted because I keep losing my earbud. But then drag that right thumb in so it either touches your chest or it's very close. Now notice you'll find a mechanical stopping point where just the mechanics of your body keep the palm of that right hand from coming closer to the earth. From there, left hand covers the back of your right hand. And we're not actively pressing, but just a little additional weight. And I can't tell you where you should feel this, but where you may feel this is on the top and front of that right shoulder. All right, friends, release. Left hand down to the mat. You can lengthen your arm out long. Use good body mechanics and make your way over onto your left side. So for you, from your position, you could, if you want to, just reach your arms up over your head and do a bit of a gator roll. So for me, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to do a little bit of a break dance to get to the other side. We're pretty awesome break dancer, actually. Not really. And then forearm side plank, floating your left shoulder over your left elbow. Tuck that block at the medium height under your left armpit. Right hand comes down to your mat between your block and the right hand edge of your mat. Walk that left elbow forward. Release the right hand side, the left hand side of your head down into your left hand. And if you can, just relax. Option and invitation to regulate your sensation with either a bend in the knees, your right hand, or both. Because they're connected so closely together, and because most of us are pretty jammed up there as well, a shoulder class for me is also going to involve a pretty heavy dose of thoracic spine work. So we're going to be, you'll find some really repetitive movements in this practice that we do over and over again from different positions. All right, release your left hand down to the mat between your block, the right hand edge of your mat. Place your right hand on the back of your left hand, and then release your forehead down to rest on the back of your right hand. So the way that this class is structured, it is really structured in a vinyasa flow format. But that's just the vehicle to carry the practice. So I'm going to take a little bit longer getting to the more active movement portion of the practice than maybe I normally would. Because these actions of trying to mobilize and stabilize the muscles, the connective tissues in both the shoulders and the thoracic spine, there's some really nice things that we can do from the mat that really help and facilitate that. All right, lift your forehead up off the mat. Walk your hands under your shoulders. Lift up enough. You can remove the block. Come back down onto your left side. Now left shoulder comes out between your shoulder and what would that be? The right hand corner of your mat. And then palm of your left hand faces the earth. Drag that thumb in so it either touches the chest or is very close. Right hand covers the back of your left hand. Right, so obviously the more firmly you press the right hand onto the back of your left hand, the more sensation you'll get in that shoulder. So you can add a little bit more pressure, but I would just ask you to be really intentional, really deliberate, and add a little bit at a time. And my demonstration partner and assistant is my lovely grand dog, Bella. Release your right hand, lengthen your left arm out long. Use good body mechanics, but make your way into a tabletop position again, like we did before we went into puppy dog. So floating your shoulders over your wrists, floating your hips over your knees. We're going to start with some rhomboid push-ups from here. So keep your arms straight. And on an inhale breath, release just your chest down toward the earth. Feel the space between your shoulder blades close together. Back of the head for now is buoyant, rather than, say, letting the forehead drape down toward the earth. And then as you exhale, press the back of your heart up toward the stars. And if you like, at the top of this movement, release your chin to your chest. That might feel good, rounding a little through the shoulder blades. Inhale, drop your heart down toward the earth. Back of the heart, back of the head rather, becomes buoyant again. Exhale, puff the space between your shoulder blades skyward. And we're going to do that one more time. Inhale, release your chest down toward the earth. Space between the shoulder blades now maybe closes enough that you could hold a pencil. And then press the back of your heart skyward. Come back to a neutral spine position. Now we're going to articulate a little flexion, spinal flexion and extension with some cat rolling. So on an inhale, drop your belly down toward the earth. Turn the eyes of your elbows forward toward the top edge of your mat. Lift your gaze, open your heart. Feel for a sense of dragging the heels of your hands back toward your knees. Exhale, press into your hands, press into your shins, round through your shoulder blades. Maybe shift your gaze to the space between your knees. Inhale, drop your belly, open your heart. Really lean into this pull sensation. Exhale, round through your shoulders. So when I'm moving through this, when I really lean into that pulling sensation, dragging the heels of my hands, it's if they could touch my knees. Sometimes I get a little bit of expansion and decompression in the thoracic spine. But we're going to move into a movement soon that I think will enhance even that. After you've done about 6 full rounds of this cat rolling, come into a neutral spine position. Tuck your toes under your feet. We're going to go to camel legs. So draw your knees and inner thighs together, feet out wide. Left hand in the center of your mat, right under your sternum. Right hand at the base of your skull. Inhale, squeeze your knees and inner thighs together, lengthen your spinal column. Exhale, lift your right elbow up toward the stars. And then inhale, release the elbow slightly down toward the earth. Exhale, re-engage, lift your right elbow skyward. And continue flowing through this gentle cycling movement to the cadence of your own breath. All right, come back to stillness. Release the right hand down. Right away, we'll change sides. Right hand under your sternum. Left hand at the base of your skull. Inhale, lengthen between your tailbone and the crown of your head. Exhale, lift that left elbow skyward and continue cycling just like you did on the other side. You know, this the practice that I have planned tonight to work with the shoulders, I think more on the stability side than the mobility side. It can be a lot. So what I would say is honor your body first. And if what I'm asking you to do is different than what the wisdom of your body is telling you, I would ignore my instructions and I would heed the wisdom of your body. It will not lead you astray. All right, come back to stillness. Release your hands down to the earth. Release your knees back to hip distance apart. Then walk your hands back towards your knees. Sit back into a hero's pose. Now that could look like sitting on the heels. That could also look like sitting on 1 or 2 blocks. And then find great posture, whether you're on your heels or blocks. Stack the joints. Head floats over shoulders, over hips. On your next inhale, press down into your seat. Grow out of your heart and the crown of your head for the stars. And then maintain that spinal alignment as you exhale. Let the soft tissues reach for the earth, just for a breath. And then on an inhale, sweep your arms up toward the stars. And then reach them forward, maybe 25 degrees in front of you. And I'd like you to maintain these stacked joints along your spinal column, so a straight spine. But start to pull out of your fingers, maybe feeling like you're pulling your arms out of your shoulder sockets, as if you could reach your fingers 3 or 4 inches forward from the starting position. They won't physically go that far, but reach out as if they could. Continue to breathe. We're breathing the whole time. Draw the shoulders back in line with the sockets. One full and complete breath right here. And reach the fingers forward as if you could reach them 3 or 4 inches out. And then once again, draw the shoulders back in line with the sockets. One full and complete breath here. And then one more time, reach the tips of the fingers out as far as you can. So we're feeling for expansion both in the shoulders, but also serratus anterior, this muscle in the rib cage under the armpits on either side. All right, good job, friends. Draw your shoulders back into sockets. Maybe relax your arms, shake them out if that would feel good. And I'd like you to start to feed your left arm across the front of your body. Catch that left wrist in your right hand and use your right hand to drag the fingers of your left hand further to the right. Now, if you prefer, you could do this inferior capsule stretch by catching that left tricep in your right inner elbow crease. That's not wrong. It's a very similar stretch, but there are some subtle differences. And I feel like if I catch that left wrist, that tractional force gives me a little bit different sensation. Release your left hand down by your waist. Feed your right arm across the front plane of your body. Catch that right wrist or that right tricep, either in your left hand or your left inner elbow crease. Hello, Bella. Hello, Nieta. So Bella's a pretty big fan of yoga, and her upward facing dog is pretty amazing. You'll probably see later in the practice. And she's also a pretty big fan of television. I've never seen a dog actually watch television other than Bella, but she just noticed herself in this a moment ago. All right, friends, release your right wrist. Come back into this tabletop shape. On an inhale breath, tuck your toes under your feet. And then exhale, press your hips up and back. Find the first down dog of our practice. And right away, start to find some small movements in the lower body to warm your legs up. For me tonight, that's going to look like pedaling out the feet. And I'd like you to maintain a long, soft, supple neck. So there's a really human tendency to crane the neck forward as if you're looking forward. I'd like you to resist that very natural, very human tendency and just relax your neck. Like there was a weight on the crown of your head, drawing it down toward the earth. And now there are also weights on your heels, drawing your heels down toward the earth. They may not touch, that's okay. And notice, like if you're tight in your hamstrings or low back, put a bend in your knees, maybe a really generous bend. But flatten your palms down on the earth, press down into the index, knuckle, and thumb. And breathe, we're breathing the whole time. Now, can you create more space and length between your wrists and your hips? And then create more space and length between your hips and your ankles. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, take as many steps as you need. Come up to Ragdoll, Uttanasana at the top edge of your mat. Feet up to hip distance apart. Whole belly resting on the thighs. For most bodies, that's going to mean a generous bend in the knees. And you can do what you like with your arms. Tonight, I'm going to grab opposite elbows and sway. But I would like you to have a long, soft, supple shape of your neck again. When we transition to the halfway lift, the bend that you have in your knees right now, at least the first halfway lift, I'm going to ask you to try it with the same bend in your knees. And then if you want to straighten the legs more after that, that's 100% okay. My knees will be bent in every halfway lift. But that doesn't mean yours have to be. Release your hands down to the earth. Heel toe your feet together. Shift the weight into your heels. If the bend has left your knees, put the bend back in your knees. Press your hands into your shins of your thighs, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press down into your feet. Sweep your arms all the way up over your head. Exhale, draw your hands into heart center. Set a soft gaze at your fingertips. Set an intention for your practice. Inhale, reach your arms up over your head. Exhale, tee your arms out to the side. So palms face forward, thumbs reach for the stars. On an inhale, flip your palms up toward the stars. Lift your gaze, start turning your thumbs back behind you. Open your heart. And then as you exhale, sweep your fingers forward, pressing your fingertips past the top edge of your mat. Release your chin to your chest. Maybe press the space between your shoulder blades back like you were trying to touch the back edge of your mat. Inhale, tee your arms out to the side, open your heart. And then right from here on an exhale, go into a forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step into a high push-up position, high plank. And we're going to hold here 2 or 3 breaths. But I'd like you to really engage and look for a long, straight line along the back line of your body. Draw your belly button to your spine. I'd like your core nice and engaged. And puff the space between your shoulder blades up toward the stars. Good, friends. Now from here, gently tap your knees down to the earth. Hands and elbows stay shoulder width apart, lower down to your belly. And then open your heart. You can go back to Sphinx like we started with, or hands under your shoulders. Pull with your hands, peel your heart up off the earth, tweeze your elbows in towards your waist. Easy Cobra. And then exhale, lower your heart down to the earth, press up and back into downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or step to the top edge of your mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press down into your feet. Sweep your arms up over your head. Exhale, to your arms out to the side. Inhale, lift your gaze, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Now we'll find some version of this movement over and over again today. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, find a forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step back into high plank. Inhale in your high plank. As you exhale, knees up or down, lower down to your belly. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees. Look forward. Exhale, walk or step to the top edge of your mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise, come all the way up to standing. Exhale, to your arms out to the side. Inhale, lift your gaze, turn your thumbs back behind you, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, find a forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step back into your high plank. Inhale in high plank. Exhale, lower down to your belly. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, draw in a deep, life affirming breath. And then open your mouth, audibly sigh that breath out. Bend your knees, look forward, and then walk, step, or maybe float to the top edge of your mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose, Utkatasana. Bring your hips back nice and low. Now, lots of variations and options for the arms. As long as the spine is straight, hands could be on the thighs. That's fine. That might be nice support for the lower back. Hands could be a heart center. Fingertips could reach for the stars, biceps framing the ears. But press your shins toward the back edge of your mat. Shift the weight into your heels. Maybe lift all 10 toes. And if your arms are reaching out over your head, press the bones of your arms closer toward the back edge of your mat. Any amount more. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Good job. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step back into high plank. Inhale, rock forward on your toes. Float your shoulders over your wrists. Back of the head is buoyant. Exhale, knees up or down. Come halfway down. Chaturanga. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your right heel up toward the stars. And then as you exhale, step it forward, rise up into warrior one, Virabhadrasana. Right toes at 12 o'clock, left toes at 8 to 10 o'clock. Now, your heels can be in one straight line, or like my hips don't really work like that. So my feet are full mat width apart. Either way is okay. Lots of options for the hands. Same as chair pose, on the thigh, heart center, reaching for the stars. This is just one more option. Invitation to goalpost the arms out to the side. Inhale, lift your gaze, draw your shoulder blades together like you were pinching a broomstick. Exhale, draw hands, wrists, forearms, and elbows together. Release your chin to your chest, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. And then on an inhale, come back into goalpost arms. And as you exhale, release your hands down to the mat. Step back to high plank. Step your right leg back to meet your left. From here, you can press directly back into downward facing dog. You could also flow through your own vinyasa, going from a high plank to a low plank, any heart opener. And eventually we'll meet in downward facing dog. But the path to down dog, you'll always have a choice on how you get there. Inhale, lift your left heel skyward. Exhale, rise up into warrior one. So engage the legs first. Ground down into all four corners of your left foot, the pinky edge blade and heel of your right foot, like you were ripping your mat in two. Feel the quads turn on. Any arm variation, or this is just an invitation, goalpost the arms. Inhale, draw your shoulder blades together, lift your gaze, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, come back into goalpost arms. Exhale, release your hands down to the earth. Step back to high plank. And then any path to downward facing dog, which could include a water break. It could include a child's pose. It could include sitting on your heels in hero's pose. Whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward, and then move to the top edge of your mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sit back into chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step into a high plank. Now inhale in your high plank. Exhale, low plank. Knees up or down. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your right heel up toward the stars. Exhale, step it forward, rise up into warrior one. And then from warrior one, on your next inhale, lift your left heel. Crescent warrior. Inhale and crescent warrior. Exhale, open up into warrior two, Virabhadrasana. Pinky edge blade of your left foot now parallel with the back edge of your mat. Arms parallel to the earth. Shift your gaze out over the left-hand edge of your mat. On an inhale, flip your palms up, then turn your thumbs back behind you. Lift your gaze, open your heart. Exhale, turn your palms down and then up in the opposite direction, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, come back into warrior two arms, maybe palms facing down toward the earth for now. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the earth, step back into a high plank. And then any path to downward facing dog, pressing directly back, taking a break, or flowing through a vinyasa. You guys maintain your same positions. I'm going to change my position on my mat just for demonstration purposes. But on your next inhale, lift your left heel up toward the stars. Exhale, step it forward, rise up into warrior one. And then lift your left heel, come up into a crescent warrior. Inhale and crescent warrior. Exhale, warrior two. Shift your gaze out over the right-hand edge of your mat. On an inhale, flip your palms up, lift your gaze, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, round through your shoulders. And then come back into warrior two, arms on an inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the earth. Step back to high plank. And then either down dog or flow through a vinyasa. Draw in another deep, life-affirming breath. Hold it at the top. Sip in a little bit more air. And then let that all go. Inhale, lift your right heel up toward the stars. Exhale, step it forward. Gently tap the left knee down. Low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Now, if you're tweaking the hips at all, go easy. This can potentially be a really deep hip flexor stretch, right? Which could be good, it could be bad. Feel it out for your body. But I'd like you to choose between tucking the toes on that left foot back behind you or pressing the shoelace parts of your feet into the earth, but engaging your left glute. For now, right hand on that right thigh. And then sweep that left arm forward like you were reaching the thing, like you were reaching all the way out of that left shoulder socket. Continue to breathe. And then check in with your hips. And if you're doing okay there and you've got some space, your body wants more, invitation to release your hips any amount closer down toward that right heel. All right, so the transition, we're going to go from right hand on that right thigh to right forearm. And then relax that left arm. Let it dangle lifeless under the left shoulder. And maybe visualize any tension or strain that was in that left shoulder drizzling down through the arm, through the fingers, and into the earth, where it will be transformed into love. All right, friends, we're going to transition back to the right hand on the right thigh, fingers of the left hand sweep forward, exhale right here. And then on your next inhale, pulling powerfully out of the shoulder socket, lift the arm up over your head, follow it with your gaze. And then as you exhale, drop your gaze down toward the earth, but powerfully sweep that left arm back behind you. Inhale, lift the left arm, lift your gaze. Exhale, drop your gaze, circle that arm behind you. Inhale, let it come all the way up, find an apparent pause at the top. And then as it exhales, drop your gaze, circle your left arm forward. Inhale, let that left arm rise behind you. Lift your gaze to follow it. Exhale, both the left arm and your gaze now set. Inhale, left arm rises. Exhale, it sets. We're going to do this one more time. Inhale, left arm rises. Exhale, this time as it sets, release the left hand down to the mat or to a block. In your right hand, you could just reach the right arm up over your head, but if you have a second block, take the block in your right hand. So this is going to look like a modified side plank. Right, so the heart is opening to the right, the hips are rotating back to the left. Now with that right thumb, turn it back behind you like you were hitching a ride. Now I'd like you to visualize an imaginary friend standing by your left hip. And we're going to vigorously pass this block to her or him for 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job, friends. Drop the block. Release both hands down to the mat. Step your right leg back to meet your left. Modified high plank with the knees on the earth. Or you could do a full high plank. Modified chaturanga. Any heart opener. And then downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your left heel skyward. Exhale, step it forward. Tap the right knee down. Low lunge. So foundationally strong low lunge first. Right leg pressing into the earth. Right glute engaged. Maybe releasing the hips forward and maybe not. Left hand on your left thigh. Right arm reaches forward again like we're trying to pull and reach out of that shoulder socket. But the eyes are soft, so soften the muscles around your eyes. And notice too, is there any place else where you're holding tension that you don't need it now? Maybe your jaw, maybe your shoulders, and see if you can relax that and let it go. All right, so just like the other side, the transition here will be from the right hand to the right forearm. I'd like you to maintain a long, straight spine, but bring the crown of your head forward. Release your right arm lifeless under the right shoulder. And start sweeping that right arm forward. Come up onto your left hand again, pulling out of the shoulder socket. Exhale right here. Inhale, lift the right arm up toward the stars. Follow with your gaze. And then exhale, sweep it back down behind you. Drop your gaze down toward the earth. Inhale, lift your gaze. Lift that right arm. Exhale, both your gaze and that right arm set. Inhale, lift the arm up. Find an apparent pause at the apex of the height here. And then reverse the process. Exhale, vigorously, powerfully pulling that shoulder forward, dropping the gaze. Inhale, sweeping that right arm and the gaze up. Exhale, release both. Inhale, they rise. Exhale, they set. Inhale, they rise. Exhale, they set. This time, as it sets, right hand comes down to the mat or to a block. Option for a second block in the left hand. If you don't have any block or a second block, that's okay. Turn that left thumb back behind you. Now, our imaginary friend is standing over by the right hip. Pass her the block for 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the block in the left hand. This is going to be a little different transition. Come back to the modified high plank. But this time, walk the right hand to the far left-hand side of your mat. Drop the right forearm down. Catch the right wrist in your left hand. And then bring your big toes together to touch. Sit back into child's pose, lowering your seat down towards your heels. And if you've lost a little bit of the breath along the way, that's okay. That happens to all of us sometimes. But come back to your breath now. So what we're going into next, we're going to go into some pretty hardcore stability work for the shoulders. So just know, like, what I'm giving you are cues and suggestions. They're not hard and fast instructions. So listen to your body. If something doesn't feel good, I would really question it before you did it. Inhale, lift back up into modified high plank. Release your right hand to the right hand edge of your mat. Then we'll change sides. Walk your left hand over to the right hand edge of your mat. Drop the left forearm down. Right hand catches your left wrist. Child's pose. So we're looking for side body stretch here. So from the tip of your left pinky finger down to your left hip, but especially on the bottom of your left armpit. So if you're not getting anything there, first of all, that's okay. But if you wanted to, you could creep the fingers of your left hand further to the right. You could make I also find if I press like the center part of my left rib cage further over to the left, I get a little bit more into that inferior capsule. All right, sisters, start to rock forward back in the modified high plank again. Release your left hand over to the left hand edge of your mat again. And then gently lower down to your belly. Reach your arms out over your head like Superwoman, flying. And for me, this is better with my forehead on the earth. You're going to have to play with this in your body and see what works. But what I would not want is you looking forward and cranking in the back of your neck. I'd like you to maintain length along the back of your neck. But reach your arms as far forward as you can first. And then start lifting the palms of your hands up. And then press the backs of your hands and the backs of your arms up toward the stars as high as you can. Now, for some bodies, this is going to be a fairly dramatic movement. I don't have a lot of shoulder mobility, so in my body, this is going to be a much more subtle movement. Either way is okay. I'm much, much less interested in what this looks like than what it feels like. Right, lift the backs of your hands and your arms up toward the stars, any amount more. And then lower your arms down to the earth. One full breath here, one full inhale, and one full and complete exhale. Then we're going to do that same thing again. Lift the palms of your hands up off the mat. Press the backs of your hands, the backs of your arms up toward the stars as high as you can. We'll hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Lower your hands down to the earth. Goal post your arms out to the side. So elbows are aligned with your shoulders, fingers pointing up toward past the top edge of your mat. Maybe forehead on the mat here, but again, play with this. But to start, lift just the palms of your hands and your wrists up off the earth. So forearms and elbows are still melted down into the earth. And then start lifting your forearms and the back of your hands as high as you can, but your elbows are still connected to the earth. Continue to breathe. And now, if you like, you can start to lift your elbows and draw your shoulder blades together, but I would love for you to have the backs of your hands up higher than your elbows. Continue to breathe. We'll hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, as you lower, elbows first, forearms, wrists, the heels of your hands hover off the earth. Then lower your forearms down. Leave the wrists and the palms of your hands hovering. Relax everything down to the mat and breathe. Good job. Maybe shake your arms out. That might feel good. That was pretty brutal, if I'm honest. Come back into Sphinx pose, but with a block in between your wrists at about the medium height. If you don't have a block, don't worry about it. You can do this very same thing with no block. And then slide the fingers of your left hand forward. Create a big, generous space under your left elbow. Thread your right arm across the front plane of your body, under your chest. Right palm faces the sky. Wrap your left arm over your right. Now, both palms face the sky. Walk the fingers of each hand out in opposite directions as far as you can. And if you're getting everything you could possibly want for sensation in your shoulders here, don't change anything. If you want more, tuck your toes under your feet. Ooh, rock the crown of your head forward. And if you had that block, this can be a really nice support for the forehead. If you don't have a block, you could just leave the forehead lifted with a neutral neck, or even release your forehead down toward the earth. And we're going to start to change sides. So tuck your toes under your feet. Walk your heels back behind you. Start to unwind the arms. And then to change sides, slide the fingers of your right hand forward. So I have a big space under my right elbow. Left arm, feet under the body, under my chest. Right arm over the left. Both palms face the sky. Walk the fingers out in opposite directions. And then stay right here or tuck your toes. Rock the crown of your head forward. All right, friends, tuck your toes under your feet. Walk your heels back behind you. Unwind the arms. If you had a block and you used it, remove the block. Lower down to your belly first, and then roll over onto your right side. Right arm reaching up over your head. Put a generous bend in your knees. And float the fingers of your left hand up toward the stars. Then turn the palm of your hand to face behind you. To put a bend in your left elbow, touch the back of your left hand to your lower back. And then start folding your left shoulder down to the earth At the same time, thread your right hand in between your shoulder blades, just to the point where your right forearm becomes a pillow for the back of your head. Right? If you want more sensation in the shoulder, slide the back of your left hand higher up your spinal column. Or if you would like more sensation in the twist, you can release the back of your left shoulder closer down toward the earth. Start to slide the back of your left hand back down to your lower back. Start to lift your left shoulder, float it over your right. And you can release your left hand along your side. Straighten your legs and just roll over onto. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to do kind of a wholesale shift, but for you, you can just roll if that works for you. And the left arm reaches up over your head for now. Put a generous bend in your knees. Fingers of your right hand reach for the stars. Turn the palm of the right hand behind you. Put a bend in your right elbow. Touch your lower back with the back of your right hand. And then fold your right shoulder back down toward the earth behind you as you place your left forearm under the back of your head. So you may, depending on like the flexibility of your shoulders, you may have all you could possibly want in that shoulder. But anytime you want, if your body wants more, just slide the back of that hand further up the spine. All right, friends, slide the back of your right hand back down to your lower back. Lift your right shoulder. Release your right arm. And then make your way into any final resting shape. Now, it can be anything. It can be in your seat, your belly, your back, or your side. But if you're shopping around and you have blocks, you're interested in one that supports the work that we did, one option is to take your blocks probably at the lowest height, close to the top edge of your mat, and about shoulder width apart for you. And then come down onto your belly with the tops of your shoulders about the tops of those blocks, and your arms reaching down by your waist. Now, if you choose this, you could rest your forehead on the mat, or you could rest either cheek or temple. If you've held on to your victorious breath the whole practice, go ahead and let that go. You don't need that here. Just a comfortable, natural breath is fine. We're seeking to balance these two qualities of relaxation and alertness here. My friends, if your body wants more rest, ignore all the cues that I give inviting you out of your final resting shape. Give yourself some grace and close out the practice exactly where you are. But if you're ready for movement, invitation to begin by drawing some deeper breaths. And if you chose to draw some deeper breaths and that felt good and your body wants more, maybe start to reanimate your body with small movements. Maybe things like wiggling your fingers or wiggling your toes. And if your body wants even more, invitation to go large, maybe rotating your hands at the wrists, your feet at the ankles, a full body stretch. Now, if you're in that shoulder release with your shoulders on the blocks, I found a full body stretch from the belly here can be a little bit tricky, where you could tuck the toes under your feet and then let your heels pull back, drawing the lower part of your spinal column back toward the back edge of your mat. If you're closing out the practice in your final resting shape, you're already home. Don't change anything. But otherwise, if you would, roll over onto either side into a fetal position, a child's sleeping pose. And take a few moments, 3 or 4 breaths, just check in, notice how you're feeling. So physically, I'd like you to check in with your thoracic spine and shoulders, and just notice if you were able to open up some space for yourself in the work that you did tonight. And if the answer to that is no, that's okay. That's 100% okay. It's just skillful to notice one way or the other. But check in while you're here too. What's the quality now of your emotional state? What's the quality of your mental state? And then maybe press yourself up into a seated position with your legs crossed. Eyes could be open or closed. I'll have my hands at heart center and you could join me here, but you could also do anything else that you prefer with your hands. Thank you, friends, for allowing me to serve you in this way this evening. I appreciate your energy, your breath, and your practice. Invitation to draw your thumbs to the Ajna chakra, the space between your eyebrows. Blessings to you and your family. And that concludes our practice for tonight. And I'm going to just take us off record. This will just take a moment.